Welcome, everybody. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Spirit Matters, your daily spiritual connection with the Bhakti Center. And my name is Dal Gurungan. I'm here with Achyuta Gopi. Our tri-host Kishore is not with us. How you doing this morning, Achyuta?
Sheltered, protected, blissed out, enthused, enlivened, all the things.
Ooh, all the things. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. Announcement this morning. Standard announcement. Spirit Matters at bhakticenter.org. We love you guys and want to hear your stories. If you're listening out there, let us know. We would love to hear from you. Just know your story, where you're at, where you're from, any questions you have. If you want us to address in the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to get in our WhatsApp group, we have a WhatsApp group. Please just email us at spiritmatters at bhakticenter.org. Also, please check out bhakticenter.org for information on all kinds of really great stuff we've got. Specifically, we have another India trip. Achyuta won't be on this trip. She's the queen of our fall trip, but we have a beautiful India pilgrimage in late January. We're going to go over to an eco village, the flower festival in Mumbai, Rishikesh, Vrindavan. Please, it's coming up in the end of January, so come get your spot for India, as well as we got some beginning bhakti and growing bhakti, different community groups. Please check out our website for all kinds of cool, great stuff that we've got going on. Any other announcements?
No. I mean,
No,
we're coming up to the last few days of Kartik, folks.
we're coming up to the last few days of Kartik. Kartik, if you're new or don't know, is a very special month in the Vedic calendar. It's a time of reflection and introspection. It's a time of increased devotion and service.
And there's like a
It's
festival every day.
There's a festival every day, and we sing a very special song,
Winding up.
and we light candles, and
It's such a mood, okay? Kartik is an entire vibe. You turn the lights down low, you light all of these candles in front of God. Like, it looks like magic. Oh,
mm,
such a good time.
it's a really beautiful, sweet time. And we've been every Thursday night Kirtan at the Bhakti Center singing Dharmadarastakam, which is a beautiful song, and lighting candles, and it ends in a few days. And so it's that time. And then on to Mariah Carey and Christmas songs.
Right. That's what I was telling Nandi. I was like, after Kartik comes Christmas. That's how
After
it goes in my house. After Kartik comes Christmas.
after Kartik
And
comes Christmas.
but yeah, it's it's kind of like a dry spell for festivals after Kartik until February. Actually, until
Mm.
about January-ish. So for
Until we
several
go to
months,
India.
right? For several months, there's kind of not much that goes on. Like everything kind of settles down Vedically. And then January, you have the month of Bosha, which most people might consider like, what's so special about January? Like, because the concept of the new year doesn't happen in January according to Vedic historians. But in January, when it gets cold, they have a whole uh, Khichdi festival for the deities in Vrindavan.
Kitchery.
Yeah, so they offer them different Khichdi every day because Khichdi is warming and it's very cold. And they dress them up in all kinds of different outfits and costumes. They literally, it's called Khichdi Utsav for like the whole
Mm.
month in that January February time. And during the coldest time, they just have a festival. Why? Because it's cold and we have God. Why not?
Let's get warm. Let's get snuggly. The weather outside is frightful, but the kitchery is so delightful.
Oh, oh, yes, yes. I like that. That's a good
As
change.
long as you love me so.
Now the Kartik
Hare
doesn't
Krishna.
sound, but yes, apparently, according to uh, the seers who have been able to have divine visions, there is one particular forest in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna's eternal abode, where he does have like little snow pastimes.
Snow pastimes.
No, because why not?
All right. If you're new to the show, welcome to our Kitchery Kata and snow pastimes and Kartik follow comes before Christmas. We're glad that you are here. We're gonna pivot now to the Bhagavad Gita, which is our seminal text. I can say seminal, right? Seminal text in which we are pulling tremendous spiritual inspiration and guidance from. And we're in the tail end of the second chapter of the Gita, almost about 10-12 verses left. Yesterday we read verse 60, and we were talking about the idea of meditation, not meditation of like sitting in a lotus position on top of a mountain, but the idea of like wherever our mind gets absorbed, that becomes a meditation, and for better or for worse. And there are lots of things that we sometimes meditate on unconsciously, unintentionally. And Krishna's saying, be careful. Be careful where you let your mind or your senses wander, because they can easily, he says, yesterday we read, the senses are so strong and impetuous, Arjuna, that they forcibly carry the mind of someone who's even trying to control them. And so if we're not careful, all of a sudden we end up in this place of, how did I get here? Well, you got here because little increments each day, like someone rocking up to blackjack table in Vegas, and all of a sudden it's just like one bet, two bet, three bet, four bets later, and all of a sudden it's like, how did I lose all that money? How did I lose all those years of my life? How did I get to this place of addiction or whatever it may be? And so that was yesterday, and tomorrow and today we're moving on. We're on verse 61. Any recap or thoughts from yesterday, Achuta? Should we roll right into verse 61?
I definitely think we should roll right in. 61, 62, 63 are some of my favorite verses.
Ooh, some of the
And for
favorite
like a
verses.
really
Get ready,
weird,
everybody.
it's like a weird reason, but there's some of my favorite verses because Krishna really delves into psychology, and I kind of love it when Krishna does things like that. And it's so like psychology. Like you need psychologists to go and unearth these things and mine them out from the human psyche. But Krishna has been saying this for thousands of years in Bhagavad Gita, and I love it.
Mm. Yeah, this never came up in my psychology 101 class.
It did. We're going to talk about it. It probably did. Just not in the way we're thinking.
Just not in the way we're thinking. All right, let's roll with it. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So 61. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Quick sidebar before we get into the other ones. I really love that. You could get your senses under control all you want, but what actually makes one a person of steady intelligence is the fixing the consciousness on Krishna.
Mm.
Sometimes we hear so much about the less intelligent, but this entire Bhagavad Gita is spoken within the context of a Mahabharata, which is said to be
Mm.
for the less intelligent. And
Mm.
nestled deep within there is our Bhagavad Gita that we need. All of us. It doesn't matter who you are. All of us need
Mm.
this Bhagavad Gita. And so, right within there, Krishna is saying, he's like, you don't have to know all the yoga poses. You can or don't have to be able to hold a handstand. You could put your leg
Mm.
behind your head or not.
Or
You
not.
could be a rocket scientist or not. But the key is about fixing one's consciousness on Krishna. That brings this
Mm.
steady intelligence.
Mm.
So
And I
I love
think
it.
it's beautiful, and it's interesting because you talk about psychology, for example. It's like these are things that only Krishna can say. Imagine if like Abraham Maslow was like, restrain your senses and fix your consciousness on me. You'd be like, what? um but there is, because it is very much of like, okay, well, because so much I think of spirituality, you get this sense of like in the Yoga Sutras, for example, you got the eightfold path of yoga. You have the yamas and the niyamas and the pranayasana and pranayama, etc. And within the yamas and the niyamas, you have the yamas and niyamas literally translate to do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
There's the do's and you don'ts. Be truthful, don't commit violence, don't steal, don't over collect, be studious. Like you have the various yamas and the niyamas. And in one of the niyamas, which I believe are the do's, you have Ishwar Pranidan, which literally means Ishwar, the supreme person, like that supreme person, not just divine energy, not divine spirit, not higher reality, but like a supreme person, God. Pranidan. Prana means life. Prana means life. Dhan means wealth. Make Ishwar, the supreme person, the wealth of your life. But it's just a sentence, and then he moves on. There's no clarity in terms of what does that mean? Who is that Ishwar? Who is God? And what does it mean for me to make that the wealth of my life? And so Krishna is alluding to that here also. It's like, because all of those yamas and the niyamas, it's hard for them to make sense without, and that's why I love the phrase that bhakti is so much less about renunciation than it is about dedication. Like what's the point of giving up unless there's something greater to hold on to? And so Krishna consciousness, bhakti, is the idea. It's not a what do you want to say? It's not an impoverished mindset of just like do without and let go and etc. But it's you need to let go of those things to create space to hold on to something so much more greater. And what is that greatness? That's Krishna consciousness. That's Bhagavan. That's Ishwar. That's Govinda and Murlidhar and Krishna and Gopinath and all the beautiful, wondrous names. And I'm going to go on one little side tangent, and then we'll come back. But there's this idea in Vedic theology of different names of the supreme absolute truth, and you have names that denote the power and majesty of God. The creator. All in the English language, you have the O words: omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and you have names like Vishnu, the maintainer, and you have names like Allah, the great one, and you have names of Narayan, the shelter of all living beings, and these names that denote the greatness and the power and the magnitude of God. And then you have names that have nothing to do with that magnitude, but really are all about God's sweetness. You've got names like Gopinath, the lover of the gopis; Govinda, the one who gives pleasure to the self and the senses. You've got names like Murlidhar, the holder of the flute, that speak to God's charm, his beauty, the qualities that are endearing, that allow us to enter into loving relationship, that makes all the attempts at some sort of grasping for love in this material world seem pale. And so it's that me with the capital M that Krishna is referring to when he says, one who restrains the senses. Those are those yamas and the niyamas, keeping them under full control. Yeah, but you can't do, that's only half of the equation. You need the Ishwar Pranidan. You need to fix the consciousness upon me, not the capital me, Sigmund Freud, Abraham Maslow, Erik Erikson, psychologists. You need to fix it on me, that supreme person. That's a person of steady intelligence, because you get the full picture. And I think a lot of times in spiritual life, we're expected, or we tell ourselves all the things we're not supposed to do, but we leave out the things we are supposed to do, not for the sake of just doing it because of those are the rules, but because it's like, unless I'm feeling nourishment, unless I'm feeling inspiration, unless I'm filling my cup somewhere, then yeah, I'm just going to wander back to my old habits. And so we owe it to ourselves to like, where do I find nourishment? Where do I fill my cup? Who are the inspiring people that I surround myself with? what's my daily dose of nourishment, not my daily dose of obligation and just like gritting my teeth and doing it. There is value to that because it keeps us steady, and there's discipline is important. But I need to make sure I'm also finding inspiration in my spiritual life. That's it. That's all I got. Over to
That's
you.
our show for today.
That's our
Kimberly,
show for today. Thank you so much. Please make sure to I don't know. I got nothing. I said it all. That's all I got to say.
um, so everything that you've said is correct. Absolutely, wholeheartedly, I agree.
Oh, that's good. Usually I'm like 70% what you said, to just like half of what you said made sense. The other half, let's take a little bit deeper look.
And two things is that idea of having that higher purpose,
Hmm.
having the supreme person behind the curtain of majesty, right? When the clouds part and you can actually see the sun, it's important because, like you said, nothing fuels our renunciation like that personalism, that personal connection. And you see people who go on diets or they take up a certain activism point, and that can be subject to change at any given moment
Hmm.
because we feel insecure in our position. We're not really connecting with anyone. The
Hmm.
biggest activists have causes that are highly and hugely personal. Something has happened to a family member, something has happened to someone they knew, somebody, it's been personal. And that is what fuels it, that personality,
Hmm.
the personal aspect. So yes, exactly what you're saying. Our spiritual life and even our material lives, all the things that we do, people might be vegan for a long time and then find that they're just not anymore because, well, why not? I don't know, it just didn't suit me anymore. When you have a personal aspect behind it, I've been in talks with I've been in talks with a spiritual person. I've been in talks, even fear of rejection from that spiritual person.
Hmm.
Even if you're not in a tradition that has this love of God, even fear of rejection of that spiritual person is enough personal connection to keep us on the straight and narrow, right? God fearing. Um, but here we have a system that is based on love now, that is based on, we are supposed to be obsessed with the object of our devotional love. We are supposed to be becoming more and more just completely engrossed in that love. This now becomes the goal. And so whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, all the things that you are doing are now to remind us of our supreme beloved.
Hmm.
And so then that then dictates our diet, dictates our habits, dictates our the way we walk, the way we speak, the way we act. So Arjuna is saying, what does this person in full steadiness of character and action, what do they look, why are they doing this? And
Hmm.
how do they remain so steady? And so Krishna hints. The Vedas hint. Ishwar, I'm not going to tell you who, I'm not going to tell you what, I'm going to give you this hint. Why is it a hint? Why is it that smack dab in the middle of Bhagavad Gita is nestled the most confidential knowledge? Because Krishna's like, but once you have that, you have me. And once you've got me, I don't revoke myself ever.
Hmm.
And so
Going
he's like,
from
so let's ease into it. Because once I tell you this, there's no me backing off.
hmm. Going from God fearing to God endearing.
Ooh, I love it.
I was thinking, I was jumping ahead to another point in Bhagavad Gita, ninth chapter, verses 27 and 28, um, where Krishna mentions verse 27 of ninth chapter, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, as an offering to me. Again, that capital M. And this continuous meditation of, like, as you're saying, where it's, I mean, again, going back to the yamas and the niyamas, you look at the idea of the final step being like samadhi, which sama means equal, equal. It's basically equanimity, equal vision, where I'm no longer seeing things in relation to my body and mind, but I'm seeing things in relation to a supreme person. And now I no longer think of things in terms of how can it bring me pleasure, but how can I use this as an opportunity to serve and offer something for the supreme pleasure of my dear beloved. And so Krishna is saying, now I start to see everything no longer in terms of friend and enemy, in terms of like for me or against me, but in terms of like everything's an opportunity for me to offer this moment, offer this circumstance, offer what's been brought my way into service to the supreme beloved.
And so when
Um,
we think about it and we hear about it, and there's all these entrepreneurs saying, yeah, I wake up 2 hours early and earlier than the rest of the world, and that's how I maintain my $1 million whatever. And it's like, well, why? Because they're focused on what they want. What do they
mm,
want? They want that million. And they know that fixing their mind, making their mind steady at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., whatever it is helping them fix their mind throughout the rest of the day. But that could be subject to change, because what if the stock market crashes? What if things are
mm,
outside of your control, and you can't control all of the things with our money?
yeah.
So now, where does that all that determination go? Which leads us into the next verses, which we'll get into next week. But what happens then when our minds and our determination, our steady intelligence becomes fixed on something else? It is wavering, it's flickering, here and then gone, and all of the things that we stand for could mean nothing tomorrow.
Mm,
But when you look at what we are supposed to be cultivating, okay, why are you up at 4:30 in the morning? I just want to talk to my friend. And I
mm,
was sleeping, but somehow or other I was just too excited. I have to talk to my friend.
mm,
And so I wake up early. Why are you cooking all this stuff? Why are you fasting? Why are you not? Because I just want to make my friend happy.
mm,
Because I just want to think about my friend.
mm. Yeah. And in the next verse of Gita, in that ninth chapter, following whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, etc., text 20 is in that same vein that you're speaking. In this way, you'll be freed from bondage to work and its inauspicious and auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So again, this principle of renunciation is really the idea of affixation. Can I use that? Affixation on Krishna. This idea of like just being so excited and so absorbed. And I think that the really the driving principle and the key to successful spiritual life and continuous growth is the willingness and ability and relentlessness to continuously ask the question, how can I use this in service?
Hmm.
Some great fortune comes to me, um some money comes my way, some opportunity comes my way, some raise or job opportunity comes my way. How could I use this in service? A challenge comes my way, a misfortune, a reversal, an insult, something. How can I use this as an opportunity for service? How could I use my pain and my struggle as a way to help other people? How does my story become a part of someone else's redemption and hope and strength? How can I use this in service? I think becomes the anthem of the Gita, the anthem of our spiritual lives, and the way for us to no longer see things in terms of good fortune and misfortune, good karma and bad karma, but like everything is coming at me as an opportunity to answer this question, how can I use this as an opportunity to serve? And when we ask that question with sincerity, Krishna will give us answers, and we'll find ourselves living life from a much more excited place, because we're no longer worried, or we're no longer being hostage to the anxiety of things going a certain way, but realizing that I have an opportunity to turn everything into I'm able to turn everything into an opportunity to serve. And that service is where I find my greatest joy and connection. And Hare Krishna.
Yeah. It's a constant, like you said, asking, am I taking shelter of my senses
Hmm.
and thus my own ideas of how things are going to go? Or am I taking shelter of Krishna? Am I falling deeper in love with my friend?
Mm. Yeah.
Or is it a hostage situation where my
Hostage
senses are
situation.
holding me hostage?
Danny K wrote, beam me up, Samadhi.
It sounds so good when you say it. It's so great when
Beam
you
me up, Samadhi. Baldevi says, always Krishna supporting us truly. The way he is supporting us as is truly best for us, even if we do not like it and cannot see it for a while. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Love you guys, all the beautiful chats going on over here in our Zoom group. We're at time, and I would love to get some of our takeaways from our dear Kimberly. Is Kimberly still? Oh yeah, she's here. Kimberly, you got anything for us?
Yes. We're taking away that personal connection fuels us to make the Supreme Person Krishna the wealth of our life, and to ask myself how I can use this as an opportunity to serve.
Beautiful, thank you. Closing words, Achyuta?
I want to get to a place where I am determined to find Krishna. Wherever it is, whenever it is, whatever it is, I want to find Krishna.
I love that. I think I'm going to take that same takeaway. Like, where can I find Krishna in this moment? And it's may not always be straightforward. Um, but I also want to take away that question: uh, how how can I use this in service? How can I use this in service? Thank you guys all so much. We love you tremendously. We're glad that you are here. And we look forward to seeing you again. Today's Friday, so we're not going to see you until Monday. We have the weekend off. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Please, please be well. Take care. As you have realizations, if you have experiences of the Gita and Krishna in your life, please write to us at spiritmatters@bhakticenter.org so we can hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye, everybody.